Hello my loves, Tony here from TL Yarn Crafts and welcome back to my channel. So I know it's been all happy place all the time ever since I launched my yarn in collaboration with Hobbii back on the 1st of September. But did you know Hobbii been that girl since long before we worked together? Now I first came across Hobbii during the quarantine haze of 2020 and they have been cranking out hits ever since. I got my hands on some of their newest offerings and I'm excited to share them with you on this Yarn Snob review. For each yarn, I'll give you my first impression, likes and dislikes, and I'll rate them each on a scale of 1 to 10 hooks. As always, I'll have links to these yarns and the projects mentioned down in the description. Now, if that sounds like a good time, make sure you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel. So I took a look at my analytics and it turns out almost 62% of you watching this video right now are not subscribed. And I really am starting to think you're trying to hurt my feelings. Look, if you've watched at least 3 TL Yarn Crafts videos in the lifetime of my channel, I think that I've earned your subscription. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does loads for my channel and I'd really appreciate it. And before we touch a skein of yarn, of course we have to give some love to our Cup of Caffeine sponsor. I have switched to water for the rest of the day. I've been trying to get in at least 2 liters a day and oh my gosh, it is so hard. So this third bottle of water of the day is brought to you by our friend Rita, and when donating, Rita said, "After someone gifted me your Tunisian crochet book, I visited your site and was completely hooked. Pun intended. Thank you for your understandable tutorials, for this newbie, great content, for everything crochet, and effervescent personality." I've never been called effervescent before, but I can get used to it. So thank you so much, Rita. I am so glad that you're enjoying my videos. Now, if you like my content and want to support my channel, buy me a coffee. Who knows, I might shout you out in the next one. Now let's talk yarn from Hobbii. Meet Pearly Haze, a luminescent blown yarn that's ready to steal your heart and your credit card. Pearly Haze is a worsted weight yarn made of 73% viscose and 27% wool. The wool is blown into a hollow viscose case, leaving a smooth texture and a slightly fuzzy halo. The wool is extra fine merino that's muslin free and has received a Basalon treatment. If all of that sounds like gibberish to you, please look those words up. For the sake of this video, it means that the sheep are treated well and the wool is soft and resistant to pilling. Each 50-gram skein gives you 120 yards for the steep price of $11.20 each. You get to choose from 21 sophisticated colors that all work surprisingly well together. My first thought when I saw this yarn was, ooh, that looked fancy. Now, I'm not usually a shiny yarn person, but Pearly Haze is glowing from within and I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. The luminescence comes from the viscose, which is manufactured as a silk alternative. Viscose can offer the feel and look of silk without that hefty price tag. In the case of Pearly Haze, the combination of these fibers is a match made in yarny heaven. The chainette texture is incredibly smooth and moved through my hands effortlessly. I was concerned about shedding because of the blown fibers, but I didn't find a strand of errant wool the whole time I was stitching. In fact, stitching with this yarn is an absolute dream, especially with my metal Tunisian crochet hooks. The resulting swatch looks exactly how I'd hoped. You don't lose any of the luster, the color is pleasantly tonal, and the stitch definition is superb. Even the Tunisian simple stitch gets elevated by Pearly Haze. Imagine what this yarn could do for a cozy sweater or a winter scarf set. With so much going for it, Pearly Haze is a joy to look at and stitch with, and I'm sure it will be wonderful to wear. I'm giving it a confident 9 out of 10 hooks. The resulting swatch is light as a feather and smooth as silk. I picked these colors on a whim and they just might be my new favorite combination. I want to keep experimenting with Pearly Haze, but that price tag has me a little shook. It's on the pricier side compared to most Hobbii yarns, but that is understandable considering the material, the feel, the colors, and the involved process that the yarn went through. It might be cost prohibitive for everyday casual projects, but it would be the perfect choice for something more special. Think special occasion sweaters and accessories. I personally would love to reimagine my mold cider cowl out of this yarn, even with this exact color palette. Next up is Judy, Hobbii's answer to a jute yarn. These cute little cones come with about 80 yards each of hard-wearing jute, clocking in at $4.95 each, though at the time of recording this, they were on sale for $3.75 each. You get to pick from 12 rich colors that add a jolt of color to your home decor and accessories. The yarn is made from 2 strands plied together, giving even more strength to this ancient fiber. Jute has long been a staple in the craft world. Crocheters have taken advantage of the coarse durability of yarns like this to make baskets, bags, and rugs for ages. It's made from a plant that grows quickly with little human intervention, produces a high yield, and it's biodegradable. So if you ever decide that jute bag bag you made is hideous, throw it in the compost heap and return her to the earth. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I loved crocheting with Judy. The internet would have you believe that jute is horribly drying and roughed on the skin, but that wasn't my experience. There were short strands of fiber throughout the skein, so there was some scratchiness, but it wasn't off-putting and it didn't irritate my hands. It was tricky to get my tension with a metal hook though, so if I was making a full-size project, I'd likely reach for a hook with a bit more grip like a wood hook. I was a little put off by the amount of shedding that I got from Judy. If you're planning to work with this yarn, make sure you've got a good ventilation in the room, cover your food and drinks, and wash your hands after your stitching. As a first-time jute user, I was very impressed with Judy and I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10 hooks. The shedding is annoying and a few reviews from Hobie's website mention that some of the colors do bleed. Aside from that, Judy crochets nicely and holds up incredibly well, even in this mesh fabric. It has this organic, matte look to it, giving it an intentionally handmade vibe. I'd love to incorporate this into some holiday ornaments and decor, swapping in Judy for my classic ribbon and bows. If you want to give Judy a go, try it with my keyhole planters, a hanging planter project that you can find inside my book, The Tunisian Crochet Handbook. Let's keep the non-traditional fiber train going by taking a look at Paulina, a plied paper yarn that comes in these cute little cones. Paulina is made of 2 strands of 100% paper that have been twisted on their own and then twisted together. One cone will cost you $5.10, but it's currently on sale for $3.70. Don't let these tiny 50-gram cones fool you. You'll get about 95 yards in each, which is plenty for multiple small accessories and decor pieces. Choose from 18 colors, which include your usual neutrals and a series of rich primary colors mixed in. The individual product photos show the colors a little brighter than they are in person, but the group images are much more accurate. Now, I have never used a yarn like Paulina before, so it took me a moment to wrap my head around it. It reminds me of a raffia yarn that's been twisted and then plied. The resulting strand is smooth to the touch with an unmistakable paper texture. I was particularly impressed with the colors, which, as I mentioned, look much different in person compared to the product photos. I thought I would get Crayola colors, but what I actually received were highly saturated and refined colors that made my heart sing. Sadly, that's about where my joy of this yarn stopped. Paulina was not fun to stitch with for me. It was very stiff, making it difficult to establish and maintain any kind of consistent gauge. I'd hoped a yarn like this would at least give me decent stitch definition, but sadly no, the resulting stitches are ropey and airy, not at all what I was looking for in my final swatch. I usually try to swatch a square for my Yarn Snob reviews, but these 14 rows took me nearly 40 minutes, and by the end of it, I was 2 through. Paulina is going to get 6 out of 10 hooks from me. I've never tried a yarn like this before, and I'm sure this is a wonderful version of it, but I don't think paper and raffia yarns are for me. Stitching with yarns like this is about the destination and not the journey. So while the resulting swatch is actually quite nice, I can't imagine reaching for more Paulina beyond what I've received so far. If you want to give Paulina a go, try it with my Fresh Market tote. I'd make it a little smaller and skip holding that second fiber with it. Paper yarn is very strong and would likely hold up well to light grocery shopping trips. Here we have Honey Bunny Shine, a sparkly addition to the Honey Bunny line, which includes Honey Bunny Original, Honey Bunny Big, and Honey Bunny Candy. It's a 100% polyester velour yarn like that stuff that you use for plushies, baby blankets, and housecoats. A 100-gram skein gives you 131 yards of super bulky Category 6 chenille yarn. This collection comes in 12 colors and runs for $9.10 each, though it is currently on sale for $6.30. What sets Shine apart from the other yarns in this collection are the super subtle glitter strands that are dotted throughout the skein. Now, if you've worked with one chenille yarn, you've kind of worked with them all, and this one is no exception. I'm a fan of chenille yarns, though I don't really get to use them very much, and I'd put Honey Bunny Sparkle on par with the others that I've tried. It's undeniably soft and lofty, with a fluffy outer layer and no stretch. The color is saturated and consistent throughout the skein, and I also like that these 100-gram skeins are easier to store and transport compared to the giant skeins often sold at big box stores. Stitching with this yarn was as expected. It handled the bobble very well, and the single crochet stitches in between were easy to make and held their shape. The whole process moved smoothly, and I was able to achieve consistent, smooth tension. So far, so good for this chenille yarn. Sadly, I was let down by the one thing that was meant to set this yarn apart: the sparkle. On the plus side, the sparkly bits are thin and short, which keeps them from interrupting my stitching. stitching with itchy bits. In the skein, the sparkly bits seem to show best on the deeper colors, but in the stitches, they're so subtle that you can barely see them. While the sparkle is nearly impossible to see on camera, it's not much easier to see in person. You'd have to be right up close, and even then, the piece would need to be in motion to see the gentle glimmer on the surface. Maybe this subtle shine is what they were going for, but I was hoping for the shimmer to be more noticeable. While I didn't get the shimmer I was hoping for, Honey Bunny is a perfectly good yarn, so I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10 hooks. If I meant to purchase this version over the original, I would love to see the shine more pronounced. I'd also like to see a more diverse set of colors like what's available for the original Honey Bunny. This is not a new or groundbreaking novelty yarn, but the shine would add a touch of interest to the finished piece. If you want to give Honey Bunny shine a spin, try it on my Crush on You cardi. It's a comfy belted cardigan that would be great for autumn layered outfits. It's finally time to talk about the only traditional yarn in this entire video, and that's Friends Cotton Silk. As the name implies, it's made from cotton and silk, 78% and 22% respectively. The 50-gram donut balls come with 131 yards of machine washable DK weight yarn, and you get to pick from 18 colors. The yarn itself is made from a strand of cotton with a strand of silk wrapped around it. Then 2 of these strands are plied together, making a 4-ply yarn. The plies are all dyed the same color, but the variance in how each fiber takes the dye gives the yarn a very subtle tonal effect. Each skein costs $6.20 each, which I will say right now is a very reasonable price for how amazing this yarn feels. I won't even front, this yarn wowed me. Visually, the texture draws you in, and then you touch it and it's unbelievably soft and smooth. You still get that toothiness from the cotton, but combined with the silk, the final yarn has an airiness that feels like straight up summertime. Stitching with cotton silk was enjoyable and relaxing. I had no issues with splitting or slipping, and the yarn felt delightful running over my finger. I was also impressed by the color scheme. The shades are more on the subdued end, which makes them great for a minimalist or a Scandi style, though I would have liked to see more neutrals as well as a solid black. I honestly didn't want to stop crocheting with cotton silk. The swatch has this organic, nubby look, but it still maintains that smoothness. Silk adds some drape and the cotton adds breathability. I just know this fabric would be immaculate once blocked, making it endlessly wearable. I'm a big fan of Hobbii's entire Friends collection, and they've got another winner with cotton silk. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 hooks for the ease of use and care, lovely colors, and intriguing fiber combination. Cotton blends are a great way to try new to you fibers, especially if you have a wool allergy. And the majority cotton content keeps the price down, making it great for makers on a budget who still want to work with natural fibers. If you want to give cotton silk a go, try it out on my Camaro crop top for a more refined and versatile festival showpiece. Rounding out this batch of yarns is Milky Way, a chonky little ball of wool blended goodness. Milky Way offers 54 yards of category 6 super bulky weight yarn in each 100-gram donut. The fiber is made of 53% wool and 47% acrylic, and it's machine washable. At $18 each, currently on sale for $14.40, you get to choose from 9 galaxy-inspired colorways. Each colorway is created with a base color, then 3 additional colors are woven in. This process gives the yarn a woolly look with what feels like rope inside. I don't find myself reaching for super bulky weight yarn much these days, but Milky Way caught my eye. Something about the fall season has me shifting my focus to creative and fun novelty yarns like this one. It's a big, squishy skein with unexpected colors to stretch your creative imagination. This yarn has a rope-like consistency, but it's not heavy by any means. The core is flexible with colorful roving wrapped around it. You certainly can't tell the acrylic from the wool just by looking at it, but don't get too excited. Acrylic does have a plasticky texture no matter how pretty it is, and you can certainly feel all 47% of it in Milky Way. I do love the depth of color and the cohesion of the palettes in each skein. Some colorways are more subtle than others, but each offers a playful balance to the texture and look of the skein. This yarn calls for a 15mm crochet hook, which feels absurd for the thickness of this yarn. I went with a 12mm instead, and I felt right at home. The busyness of this yarn is yearning for a simpler stitch, so I went with the linen stitch pattern. You could go with any basic stitch or variation. Simple ribbing or even a basket weave stitch would help this yarn show up especially well. Even with such a simple stitch, the pattern got completely lost within a solid mass of fabric, but I didn't really mind. Instead of creating this eye-catching stitch pattern, I'm going to focus more on the shaping and the texture to keep the eye moving around the fabric. Now this might surprise you, but I'm giving Milky Way 9 out of 10 hooks. It's obnoxious on purpose, and half of the fun is finding creative ways to show off this pretty yarn. Classic accessories like a simple beanie, a rectangle scarf, or poofy hand warmers would work. You could also take the challenge head on and make a chunky cardigan or a lap blanket. At this price point, larger projects may get expensive, but one statement piece could be worth the splurge. Go with my Kima Cardi to showcase this yarn the way it was meant to be. Trying new yarns from online retailers can always be hit or miss, but I would say this batch of yarns from Hobbii is a certified hit. And with the cooler months coming in, it's a great time to experiment with yarn and fibers that you're not familiar with. But that's just the opinion of one yarn snob, and I would love to know yours. So drop down in the comments, let me know. Are there certain yarns that I showed that you would try and any that you would absolutely not try? I'd also love to know what you'd like to see in a future Teal Yarn Crafts video, so if you have ideas, drop those in the comments as well. Don't forget to like this video and go ahead and subscribe. Let's get that subscriber number up, okay? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.